Thanks for joining us on Arc Salt Lake. I'm Brian Schnee. It is Black Friday, November 29th. Great to have you all with us. From all of us here at 2 News, hope you had a safe and a very happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. Tonight, we're taking a look at an Ogden cold case back from 2017 with the anniversary right around the holidays. And we'll also follow up on a Thanksgiving search and rescue operation that took place in Emery County. The drive-by shooting of Brian Housley from 2017 in Ogden remains a cold case. Now, surrounding the 7-year anniversary of his death, Housley's mom is continuing to pursue justice for her son. I spoke with her today about how time doesn't heal in the case of her son who was killed.
It's been extremely difficult. We all know that as a case gets colder, they just get harder to solve. And so every year when that anniversary date comes around, my anxiety gets really high, because once that little tick mark, where you're marking that year off, it's just like, it just solidifies another year's gone by and you haven't achieved anything to get answers and accountability in this case. And so I just stress out that I may never get these answers because everything I keep trying to do, I can't. I'm just failing. I'm losing the battle is what I feel like.
Have you had any new information come your way at all over the last couple of years?
No, the only thing that's happened in the last year that's been really good, though, for cold cases is this new thing that they're trying up here in Ogden. It's called the Weber County Cold Case Task Force. And one of the things they wanted to do was to, at least on the anniversary day, get this information out to the public on the cold cases. So they're trying to at least work on these cases where they used to just sit on the shelves, basically. They might say they worked on them, but I think they were just sitting. And so they're trying, but, it's just that all we have left really is help from the public. It's all I can see at this point. And, there's, what if I would have done this a lot sooner? I wish I would have, but, they don't want you talking to anybody at the beginning, of course. And so you just wait, and the waiting's getting, pretty unbearable, because you just know I'm running out of time. We don't know how long I'll live. And, I don't want to wait till I want to see it happen in my lifetime. You just feel like if we're not, somebody kills your child and makes you feel like nobody cares, But, I know there's people that care, but you start to lose all hope and faith in humanity that somebody will come forward, with the answers. And in a case like this, we know the answers are out there. It's not just one person that's involved. There was a fight going on at the time. That's all I know, is that some kind of gang war was happening, and he just happened to be in the way. And, but it's like many people know, and they're just too afraid, or they don't want to. They're either protecting these people or they're afraid. It's what I think, because I don't understand why they wouldn't come forward, by now. I don't know.
7 years and 2 days where we sit today, since your life changed dramatically. But you mentioned you don't want to wait forever. Have you had that thought that you may never know?
Yeah. Each year it gets a little worse. The anxiety just builds up, and I just know that date's coming. And you think 7 years, and you haven't gotten anything new. I'm going to die before I know. And you see these cases, 50-year-old cases that you'll see on the TV periodically, and you just think, I'll be dead by then. I can't wait 50 years. And it just, if you put yourself in my shoes for 5 seconds and you think about, if this was your kid, what would you be doing? Your hands are kind of tied. you don't want to be too pushy with the police. You're walking this fine line constantly. I'm trying to work with them, and I know they're trying the best they can with the time they're allowed, but there's so many cold cases that need attention, so you're waiting your turn, but your time's running out as well, and so
Does it make it tougher for you around the holidays? Is this a difficult time as is anyway? Because it's family oriented, right? It's this time of year.
Yes, it's extremely hard because I had to, right after he was murdered, we had to get the funeral together. I had to unwrap his presents I had under the Christmas tree to find clothing to bury him in. His belongings were all stolen. And we were in the hospital with him. He was a donor. And so to put up my Christmas tree every year is a burden. I don't like it. I hate Thanksgiving. It's just a rough time. And I know my family wants me to be normal again, but you can't be. Something's happened to one of your kids and you got to fight for them. I don't know what else to do.
Well, so I spoke to Darcy at length today. There's a longer conversation on our YouTube page right now. The full-length video is up there. And you could read more about the history of this case on our website as well, KUTV.com. Now to another cold case where after more than 50 years, after a murder near Vernal, a suspect is now in custody. Army veteran Gregory Nickel was shot and killed in 1972 while on a date. 52 years to the day of when Nickel was killed, 74-year-old Daryl Eugene Choate was arrested earlier in the week, charged with first-degree felony murder. Nickel's car and body were burned after the shooting, and his date was kidnapped and then raped by two strangers. The Uintah County Sheriff's Office is asking to speak with anyone who may have known Choate or who may have information related to this case. We have additional information on this case and the arrest after 5 decades on our KUTV2 News YouTube page right now. We're learning more tonight about a Thanksgiving search and rescue operation in Emery County. Dispatch was informed a woman broke her leg while hiking Little Wild Horse Canyon. Crews had to hike almost to the top of Little Wild Horse with all of their equipment. They found the 37-year-old woman and carried her over a quarter mile. Earlier today, I spoke with Emery County Sheriff Tyson Huntington about the rescue. That also involved some freezing cold water.
About noon yesterday, we got a call from like an SOS beacon saying that there was an issue. So usually we wait a minute to see if we get more information. Then we got a phone call from a guy saying that he had also received that notification, and he advised that his wife and some friends were here in Utah down at Goblin Valley, and they were out hiking, and there was a broken leg. So we waited a little longer and got a latitude longitude position for them. We plugged that in, realized it was at a Little Wild Horse Trail Canyon area, and dispatched our guys, and they got on their way. The information that we got said that the group that this lady was with was trying to help her out, and they were coming down Little Wild Horse. So our guys went to the bottom part, the trailhead part, and hiked up, and they carried all their rope gear, their medical gear. They carried a basket that we packaged patients in to, remove them from an area. So they packed all that up there. They found her. They were able to assess her, do some work to her leg. They splinted her leg, provided some first aid with some help from the park guys that were there at Goblin Valley, and able to bundle her up. And then they hiked her about a quarter of a mile or so to a place that Classic Air, the medical helicopter, could land. And then they got her bundled up on the helicopter, and they took off, and they went to a Utah County hospital. There's water in there, sitting there, just stagnant water. Nothing's moving, but they were. I saw two of them were wet from the waist down, trying to bring her through and keep her out of the water. Like, my first instinct with this was like, oh, come on, it's Thanksgiving, but people do what they like to do. And these guys were out climbing and hiking, and I know that they love this area. They're grateful for this area. So that was appropriate for them to go out and have a good time. And unfortunately this happened, but these guys, I got to take my hat off to them. Nobody complained about missing anything or wishing they could be home with family and friends or whatever it was. But yeah, they just hopped up, got dressed, headed out, did their thing, and got home.
Special shout out to those volunteers 8 to 10 hours away from their family yesterday on that rescue call. Coming up on Arc Salt Lake with Black Friday leading into Small Business Saturday, then Cyber Monday. How are Utah's small businesses keeping up with the larger retailers? The busiest retail season of the year kicks off this weekend, with today being Black Friday. You can get a lot of deals online right now too. Small Business Saturday, and of course the big online day with Cyber Monday, happening all of in a span of a few days. But for some smaller Utah businesses, it can be a real struggle to get any online traction. So what are the smaller shops doing to keep up with those big online retailers? 2 News' Paul Nelson has more.
There are some small businesses in Utah that have already found their niche audience. However, others, they're still looking for any kind of exposure that they can possibly get. And some retailers say that's becoming increasingly hard when the online retailers have such a strong portion of the market. It's expected to be a very busy weekend for the workers of Salt and Honey in Salt Lake City. They're hosting a small business Saturday marketplace, and store manager Shelby Livingston expects it to be the busiest day of the year.
We budget our Q4 anticipating Small Shop Saturday to do really well.
They contract with local vendors who are having trouble finding customers, and they provide a brick and mortar location for those goods, as well as increased online sales. Some of these local vendors have tried to sell their wares on their own, but they can't get enough online exposure.
I have some vendors that will say, I tried Etsy and I didn't like the fees and I didn't get a lot of traffic. And I mean, for every one successful TikTok shop you see, there's hundreds that are getting 20 views per video.
She'll often tell customers to follow these vendors online or to check out their website, only to learn that the customers can't always do that.
And I find out that they don't have a website because they're like, I'm one person. I can't manage a website. I can't run it. I can't then ship the products to.
Utah Retail Merchants Association CEO Dave Davis says technology is a great equalizer, with AI becoming a more effective tool for small retailers.
We have artificial intelligence technology that many of our small businesses are leveraging up for customer service issues and just figuring out what those customer demands are.
If a retailer is having a hard time keeping up with online demand, where can they go for help?
I think that the direct-to-consumer market, there's lots of ways to access that. Those small businesses that get a really good reputation for the products that they are offering oftentimes can reach direct-to-consumer without having to use one of these platforms.
Davis says a lot of small businesses are adopting something called a bricks and clicks philosophy, kind of a hybrid, where they entice people online in order to come into their physical location, and they offer them some kind of unique experience if they get there in person. Paul Nelson, KUTV, 2 News.
All right, thank you, Paul. It's great to have meteorologist Chase Thomason with us here on Arc Salt Lake tonight. Been a little while. This is cool.
It's been a while.
Yes, and you brought numbers with you. I always love this. We're not measuring by schnees yet.
Not quite. I mean, November, it's a snowy month, but it's our 4th snow.
Maybe by February we'll get a couple schnees on the graphic.
We're waiting for December, January, February. We'll have a few schnees out there. This month we finished with 69 inches at Alta. Normal is 71, so very close to average. Not
Good
bad.
snow, and you've experienced it already this year.
Yeah, the snow's
nice.
nice.
A little taste.
Yeah. We need a lot more, though, to open up more terrain, and it's coming. It's still very early in the season. Let's get right to your forecast. Salt Lake City also finishing near normal when it comes to precipitation. 1.22 in the rain gauge. Most of it was rain, but we saw a little bit of snow. Now, when it comes to precipitation, about 1/10 of an inch below normal, that's very close to average. Snowfall-wise, we averaged 7 inches in Salt Lake City, only an inch at the airport, so that is 6 inches below normal, and no more snows in the forecast as we wrap up the month. And as we head into December, it looks pretty quiet. So I want to show you some very active weather right now across a good chunk of the Northeast. This is lake effect snow. Of course, we get that here in Utah, but nothing like the Great Lakes. Some very cold air moving over the Great Lakes, and some areas close to Watertown expecting to see 4 to 6 feet of snow through the weekend. Out west, though, if you're traveling, just fine. A couple high clouds across the desert southwest, maybe southern Utah. We'll have a few more clouds for tomorrow. There is a weak storm that might produce a couple light showers in Southern California. The problem, it's sitting underneath this big ridge of high pressure. So there's not a lot of moisture it can work with, and it's going to weaken as it just travels to the east. So no rain here across the state of Utah. Right now, the jet stream is sitting just north of us, so our winds, at least upper level winds, are still out of the north, keeping us a little on the cool side, and that will continue into the weekend. But still, with this big blocking high, we have a little bit of sinking air, and that pollution gets trapped here in the valleys of northern Utah and it impacts our air quality. So moderate air quality is in the forecast through the weekend, a little bit of haze. Probably going to get a little bit thicker as we head into next week as that high gets closer to Utah. Temperatures tonight, chilly, lots of teens and 20s across the state. Teens in our mountain valleys. Some areas might even drop into the single digits, but a nice little rebound tomorrow. Mid-40s under mostly sunny skies, upper 30s in northeastern Utah, and St. George, you're in the 50s, but by next week, you'll see those 60s return down south. Big game down in Provo tomorrow night, and you really want to dress in layers. Bring your mittens because temperatures during the entire game will be below freezing, likely in the 20s with those clear skies, but the winds will be light. So here's this big ridge through the weekend. Notice it gets a little bit closer to Utah, so again, more haze probable early next week, but there's really nothing coming our way. Everything is going up and over this high. Active weather stays east of Utah, and we are staying bone dry for probably the next 10 days. St. George, we are in the mid-50s through the weekend, but look at the low 60s for next week. Really comfortable weather down in southern Utah. Overnight lows still dropping into the mid-30s. Salt Lake, we're going to just put it on repeat. Mid-40s over the weekend, and we're going to stay in the mid-40s for most of next week. Maybe a few more clouds on Monday, and again on Friday. The computer models were hinting at maybe a little weak storm by the end of the week or into the weekend. Not looking like much. Could get some ventilation, so hopefully less haze by maybe Saturday or Sunday. But yeah, it's not looking pretty. I was looking at the very, very long range forecasts and maybe a pattern shift towards the end of December.
See, I was thinking maybe you just ran out of the hazy allotment on the forecast, so
Yeah.
you couldn't throw them in next Saturday, Sunday.
There might
There's
be
a
some
chance.
ventilation, yes.
Okay.
But nothing too big.
Well, that time of year, something to keep an eye on, and it's something that we are always going to deal with, it seems like. Thank you, Chase.
Yep.
Coming up on Arc Salt Lake, a nutcracker treasure hunt across Salt Lake County throughout the holiday season. How you can get involved in the fun. Coming up. A nutcracker treasure hunt underway in Salt Lake County. It's put on by Visit Salt Lake. 20 life-size nutcracker sculptures are scattered all across the county. The nutcrackers are inspired by Ballet West's production. Scan the QR code on them and unlock points and prizes. You can download a free app, track your progress, one lucky prize winner, win a grand prize at the end of the season. I don't know what that prize is. Tomorrow, get ready to continue the holiday festivities with the Ogden Santa Run. Roads around the city will close around 3:30 tomorrow afternoon ahead of the Santa Run and Holiday Light Parade. The Ogden Santa Run 5K gets underway at 4:30. Ooh, an afternoon run. Okay, that's different. Runners will be wearing all Santa suits. Then at 5:30, the Electric Light Parade. 6:45 are some fireworks. The Christmas Village will light up. Roads will reopen at 7:30. Should be a great night, weather-wise as well, to enjoy that. Happening now, Christmas lights on Temple Square. They're shining bright. The lights were turned on at 4:30 this afternoon. They will continue to shine through New Year's Day. It's absolutely beautiful if you've never been. Along with the lights, you can also find crafts, displays, giving machines, musical events. It's all free at Temple Square. Nearly 300 free concerts are scheduled between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Lots of festivities to see and experience now. Of course, we're bringing some of those to you here at KUTV2 News. Interesting night. The Jazz are back in action over the weekend. Utah Hockey Club back at home tonight for Hockey Fights Cancer. You can see that right now on SCGs Plus and Utah HC Plus. We talked about that new rollout of the broadcast earlier this week. It's on our YouTube channel. It's where you can find a lot of us on our YouTube page. See you next Monday.